Hello, my dear students of class 9. Hope you all are well. Today we will going to learn the chapter 19, that is the preventive measures. In the previous chapter we have learned the different type of effects of different kind of pollution. So in this chapter we are going to know the preventive measures of that different kind of pollution. So here we see in this chapter we will cover the preventive measures of like the carpool, promotion of public transport, no smoking zone, restricted use of fossil fuel, saving energy and encouragement of the organic farming. So now students, let's get started. So firstly we will see that pollution affect the air we breathe, the water we drink and the soil in which we grow our crops. So we know that pollution affects our environment, a very harmful effect it is causing to our environment. The gaseous fumes from the industries, emissions from the motor vehicles, burning fossil fuel made the air, especially the city, so poisonous that it has made the life difficult for the citizen. Now, the water is being also polluted by the discharge of the pollutant from the industries, household detergent and sewage. Offshore oil drilling, making it unfit for the human consumption. Now, the soil is being polluted by the effluents discharged from the chemical industries, paper pulp mill, trainers, textile, urban commercials and the domestic waste, and also the chemical fertilizer and pesticide. Therefore, a comprehensive set of preventive measures are required to check this type of growing menace of the pollution. So now we see here that mainly the pollution is happening from the vehicular pollution. The rising level of the air pollution is mostly on the cities is due to the rapidly increase in the private vehicle. So here we see that we know this vehicular pollution is mainly occurring through the private vehicle, as each of the individual are getting their personal cars or any type of vehicles. So that causes a very large amount of pollution in various level, that is atmosphere, soil or any other type of environmental factor. Now, an increase in purchasing of the power of the middle class along with the lack of the efficient public transport system. So, we here see that the middle class also increasing the purchase of the vehicle, and also the inefficient public transport system led to the pollution or the increase in the vehicular purchase. So here we see that vehicular emission have two negative effects. So what are they? The global climatic change and the air pollution. So air pollution is mainly happening and the climate change is mainly happening due to the increase in carbon dioxide that causes to the global warming. So how this global warming is happening? The greenhouse effect results from the carbon dioxide, the most important greenhouse gases, which act like a blanket around the earth, keeping the surface temperature at a warm level. And due to increase of the CO2 concentration of the earth atmosphere, effective add another blanket which warms the earth's surface even more. So here we see that increasing of CO2 is also result in temperature increasing in temperature. Now, besides CO2 emission, other vehicular gases are like carbon monoxide and the large share of hydrocarbon, nitrogen oxide, particulates that we know, the dust, smoke, etc. Nitrogen oxide is formed when the nitrogen in the fuel or the nitrogen of the air heat at the temperature of 1200 degree Fahrenheit in the presence of oxygen. And this reaction occur in most car engine today. So here we see that this reaction is occurring in most of the car engines today. In the recent time, this reaction is happening in the car engine. So that's why the nitrogen oxide is increasing in the air. The nitric oxide is the initial product and the oxidized to the nitrogen dioxide. That means from nitrogen dioxide NO is formed, that is nitric oxide. It is the oxidized form. Now the nitrogen oxide also combined with the water leading to the component of the atmospheric acidification, that is especially the nitric acid, that is HNO3. In turn, this led to the acid rain. So, this is how the acid rain is formed. The vehicle emission constitute the greatest individual source of the nitrogen oxide in the industrialized countries. So, after this, we see here that the alarmed at the air pollution level in Delhi, the Delhi High Court termed the living in Delhi as the living in a gas chamber. Indian cities need to curb pollution from all sources, but vehicles need special attention as they emit toxic fumes within our breathing zone. The following measures can help to curb the air pollution. So, first preventive measure here we see, that is the carpool. So, what do you mean by carpool? Carpooling refers to the sharing of car journey by a person traveling on the same road. So, here the carpool means the person who are traveling to the same route can take a same traveling vehicle to get to that area. So carpooling means the person who have traveling to the same route may take the same vehicle to reach there. So that is the carpooling. Now we see here the main advantages of carpooling. So here we see first one is it reduce air pollution. So how it reduce air pollution? As the many number of people are taking the carpool, so that's why the number of vehicle are decreased. So each of the individual are not taking an individual car or any other vehicle. So for that reason the reduction of the air pollution is happening. So the next one we see here is it helps to save money in buying fuel and maintenance of the car. As many individuals are taking the same car, then the amount of buying fuel is reduced, and also the maintenance cost of the car is also reduced. Now the second one is it helps to save petrol, diesel, and thereby save foreign exchange. So as we know that in India the various type of oil, that is petrol and diesel, are imported from the other countries, that is making the foreign exchange. So if we save the petrol and diesel, and it also save the foreign exchange. Now the fourth one is it reduce the traffic congestion. So as we know that due to the carpooling there is reduce in the number of individuals cars, so that also reduce the traffic congestion, that is jam, and reduce the fuel consumption and commuting time, and also the cost of road repair. Now it uses to commuting time in useful pursuits. So which means if one drives to work alone every day, the time spent behind the wheel is essentially wasted. So riding in the carpool helps one to use the time in various purposes. Now the next one is it helps to distress by talking to the fellow commuters, sharing an anecdotes and a story or jokes. So the next one we are going to see here, that is the promotion of public transport. So previously we see that the increase of vehicle pollution is mainly happening due to the inefficiency of the public transport. So what do you mean by public transport? Public transport is shared passenger transport service which is available for the use for the general public, as distinct from the mode such as taxis, carpooling, and hired buses. Now the public transport mode include the city buses, tram, passenger train, and the metro rail. The buses make up over 90% of the public transport in India. So in India, here we see that Delhi Transport Corporation and in Delhi and Brihan Mumbai Electric Supply Transport, that is called based in Mumbai. These are the buses that are mostly run by the state government in Mumbai and Delhi. Now, the suburban railway service in India are limited and are operationally only in Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, Hyderabad, Ahmedabad, Pune, Delhi, and between Kanpur and Lucknow. Now, the Mumbai suburban railway transport 6.3 million passenger daily and has the highest passenger density in the world. The suburban train are run between a central business district and the suburbs or other location that draw large number of people on daily basis. The suburban train that handle commuter traffic are mostly electrical multiple units, that is EMUs. They usually have the 9 or 12 coaches and sometimes even 15 to handle rush hours. At present, the metro rail is operational in metro system in Delhi, Kolkata, Mumbai, Jaipur, Chennai, Gurgaon and Bengaluru. Now we are going to see here the advantages of the public transport. So the first one here we see that it reduces damage to the environment by reducing emission. So we know that the public transport can reduce the transportation or the number of vehicles. So that also reduce the emission and also reduce the damages in the environment. And the next one is it requires 1/5 energy per person per kilometer compared to road based transport system. So we know there is required a large amount of energy in the individual cars, and in this public transport here only 1/5 energy is required to transporting many individuals to a particular area. Therefore it reduces the fuel consumption and thus help to save the foreign exchange. The next one is it causes less noise and no air pollution and also eco-friendly transport system. So public transport, we know that it causes less amount of noises, less amount of air pollution than the vehicular transport. Now it helps to save money spent on the maintenance of the personal vehicle. So we know that to maintain the personal vehicle is very much more than maintaining a public transport. It occupies no road space if underground and only about 2.6 meter width road if elevated. It avoids the need to find parking space for the private vehicle. It reduces congestion on the road, that is traffic jam, traveling time, and it is safer to travel by public transport than the private vehicle. So it averts the number of accident also. After this we are going to the next precaution, that is the no smoking zone. So firstly we have to know what is smoking. Smoking is the inhalation of the smoke of burning tobacco, incense in cigarette, bidis, pipe, cigar, etc. In these ways, nicotine, the active ingredient in tobacco, is inhaled into the lungs, where most of it stays. The rest passes into the bloodstream, reaches the brain in about 10 seconds, and dispersing throughout the body in about 20 seconds. The smoking is also recognized as a leading preventable cause of death. Anyone with a smoking habit has increased the chance of lungs, cervical and other type of cancers. From the smoking, the respiratory diseases such as asthma, bronchitis, cardiovascular disease such as heart attack, high blood pressure and stroke are happening. Smoking does not just harm the smoker but also the people nearby who breathe in the smoke exhaled by the smoker and are called as passive smokers. So what do you mean by passive smoker? passive smoker means a such suppose a person is smoking and the surrounded person also inhaling that air. So the individuals that are present around that person also smoking that type of air. So they are called the passive smoker. Recent research has shown that the concentration of the second-hand tobacco smoke in many outdoor areas is often as higher than the indoors. Now, therefore, the passive smoker are those who unavoidably breathe the second-hand tobacco at the public places and increase the health problem like lungs cancer, asthma, bronchitis, and sudden infant death syndrome in children. There are approximately 120 million smokers in India, and which accounts about 12% in the world. As a preventive measure, a mandatory specific statutory health warning on cigarette pack was introduced in 1975. Realizing the seriousness of the problem, the smoking in the public place was prohibited nationwide from October 2 under the Prohibition of the Smoking in Public Place rule in 2008. So, from this prohibition, the smoking ban in some public places like auditorium, cinemas, airport, bus stand, restaurant, hotel, amusement center, shopping mall, etc. A person caught smoking in the public place has to pay fine. By creating no smoking zone in the public place, an attempt has been made to save not only the passive smoker but also the discouraged smoker to give up smoking. The advantage of the no smoking zones are: first one, it reduces the possibility of the second hand tobacco smoke, that is the passive smoker. The next one is it reduces the air pollution. So which means the area which have prohibited smoking have been found to be better indoor air quality as opposed to the area where the smoking is allowed. The next one is it reduces the health care cost. So as the smoking is reduced, the diseases are also not happening. So that also reduces the cost of health care. It reduces the chances of influencing others, especially the youth, to take on the habit of smoking. And the last one is it reduces the chance of accidental fire in the places. Why? With highly flammable material, forest fire, fires which start from lit cigarette. The next precaution that we must take is the restricted use of the fossil fuel. So first we have to know what do you mean by fossil fuel. Fossil fuel refers to the buried combustible deposit of the organic material formed from the decay of plant and animal that have been converted to crude oil, coal, natural gas by exposure of heat and pressure in the earth crust over hundreds of millions of years. So here we see that hundreds of millions of years are taken to form a fossil fuel, that is crude oil, coal, natural gases. The fossil fuel are the major source of energy. The coal provide about 28% and it is mainly used in the production of electricity to making steel, etc. Petroleum accounts 40% of the commercial use, that it is mainly used in transportation and heat millions of houses. The natural gases account 20% of the commercial use. It is used in heat homes, cook meals, in industries, and it compressed from CNG is used as an alternative to petroleum and diesel in the automobile. So here we see that a compressed form of gas, that is CNG, is used in the alternative to petrol or diesel. Now the fossil fuel are causes of the environmental hazards like air pollution, global warming and the acid rain. The air pollution is one of the major disadvantage of the fossil fuel, that is CO2 is increasing due to the use of fossil fuel and also responsible for the global warming. Now the sulfur dioxide is one of the pollutant that is released when the fossil fuel are burnt, and this is the main cause of the acid rain. And acid rain can lead to the destruction of the monuments made up of marble, and damages crop due to acidification of the loam. So we know in the recent time acid rain is a important factor for saving the Taj Mahal. So because it is made up of marble and it is affecting the structure. The pollutions of the air from the vehicle and the coal powered plant can cause serious health problems. So the health problems are asthma, chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder, that is COPD, and the lungs cancer. The long term exposure may increase respiratory infection in general population. So here we see that the children and the elderly are the mostly affected from the airborne toxication. Now the transportation of the crude oil via sea can cause the oil spill, that is oil leakage, which can pose hazards to the aquatic life by lessening the oxygen content of the water. As it covers the upper surface of the water, the amount of oxygen is reduced in beneath or under the water. Fossil fuel are renewable resources of energy. Fossil fuel are the non-renewable resources of the energy. So as we see that the fossil fuel are taking the hundred of millions of years to produce, so that means it is not reproduced in this time. So that's why it is called as non-renewable sources. As a result of growing demand of the fossil fuel are being depleted at the rate of 1 lakh times faster than they are being formed. So, similarly, at the present rate of uses, the world crude oil reserve would be exhausted in 50 years. These resources are non-renewable and take millions of years to form. It is essential, therefore, to reduce the dependence on such energy resources and explore and exploit the enormous potential of the alternative sources like solar energy, tidal energy, wind energy, geothermal energy, and biomass based energies. So, as we are saving the energy, so this is also a precaution for the pollution. So first here we can see here that India faces a serious energy crisis due to the population pressure and deterioration in the physical environment. So due to the population pressure, the pollution is also increasing and that also damages the physical environment. Today the fossil fuel are the main source of energy in the urban area, that is coal, petroleum, etc., and that is increasing the alarming rate of the environment deterioration. If this fossil fuel continue to be used at the present rate, the hydroelectric power is used in the urban areas, it clean fuel, but as a source of its production, huge dams are being built which create environmental problem. So hydroelectric power is a natural way to produce energy, but here we also see that it also creating environmental problems because it builds a huge dams in the rivers. In the urban areas, the energy resources are used maximum without caring for the future, while the rural area do not have enough supply. Some of the villages use hydroelectrical power for the light and pumping up of water from the tubes. However, such supply is not regular as the rural areas do not have the source of hydroelectrical power. Now, some of the Now, despite urbanization, 74% of the Indian resides in the rural areas, whereas the villages still depends on the traditional fuel to meet their energy need. The following measures can help to save energy. So here we see we should use extra blanket or sweater instead of the room heater, and in the summer we can use the light cotton cloth instead of the air conditioning, and that causes also reduce the amount of cost and energy. Make sure that the house are well insulated, and if heated or cooled, window or door are not left open. Raise shade on the winter and lower them in the summer. They seals all the leak, block windows and doors with the weather strip, and install blind to reduce the outside heat transfer. The next one is by using the product with the energy star level that reduce the energy bill to 30%. After this, use of low flow shower head to reduce the water consumption and also the energy that is used for heating up that water. Turn off the equipments and the light at night and unplug appliances when they are not in use. After this, replace the light fixture with the CFL bulb that can reduce 75% of the energy. CFL helps to save money, use less energy, reduce light and bulb changes and the lower greenhouse gas emission. Check the furnace, air conditioner, heat pump, filter regularly. Cleaning the heating, ventilation, air conditioning equipment make these last longer and avoid costly downtime and improve indoor air quality. The paint your exterior and interior wall in light color so more light is reflected, and the paint the edge of the window in white so more light is reflected inside during the day, and open the blind to bring in natural light instead of turning on the lights. By double siding on copier, reusing single side paper. So many times we use only one side of the paper, then we have to use the double siding of the copies. This can organize and can save a significant amount of energy and natural resources. That 1 ton of waste paper can save energy to power to average home for about 6 months. So we know that for making this paper can use a very large amount of energy. So if we use the double siding of the copier, then we can reuse that material and it can reduce the consumption of the energy. Use public transport and carpool. This helps to save energy cost and extend the life of the vehicle. The next precaution that we are going to know, that is the organic farming. So, what do you mean by organic farming? Organic farming is a holistic system of farming. Holistic system because we are calling it because it is mainly preferable to the environment and suitable for the environment, which is primarily aimed at cultivating the land and raising crop in such a way as to keep the soil alive and in good health. So we know that we are regularly used in agriculture, the farmers are regularly used different kind of chemical fertilizer that causes effect to the soil. So in the organic farming, it is done in a specific way that it can be preferable to the soil and also for the good health by using the organic waste. So the organic waste like crop, animal, farm waste, aquatic waste and other biological materials along with beneficial microbes that are biofertilizer to release the nutrients of the crop from the increased sustainable production in an eco-friendly, pollution-free environment. So, it excluded the use of synthetic inputs such as fertilizer, pesticide, hormones, and feed additives, and rely upon the crop rotation, crop residue, animal manure of farming. So, here we see that any kind of chemical fertilizer or any other chemicals are not introduced in this type of farming, and they are mainly based on the eco-friendly type of processes. According to the Food and Agricultural Organization, that is FAO, organic agriculture is a unique production management system which promote and enhance agro ecosystem health, including biodiversity, biological cycle, and soil biological activity. This is accomplished by using on-farm agronomic, biological, and mechanical method. The 4 principles that are used for organic farming are: first one is organic farming should sustain and enhance the health of the soil, plant, animal, human as one and individual. The next one is the organic farming should be based on the living ecological system and the cycle work with them. The organic agriculture should build on relationship that ensure the fairness regards to the common environment and life opportunity. Organic farming should be managed in precautionary and responsible manner to protect the health and well-being of the current future generation and the environment. Now we are going to know about the characteristics of the organic farming. So first here we are see that protecting the long term fertility of the soil by maintaining the organic matter level and creating optimized condition for biological activity within the soil. So which means all the process are done naturally for that protecting the fertility of that type of soil. Providing crop nutrients indirectly using relatively insoluble nutrient sources which are made available to the plant by the action of soil microorganism. So here we see that they are providing nutrients to the plant by the using of soil microorganism. So they are made also based on naturally. All the process are going naturally. Maintaining nitrogen self-sufficiency through the uses of legumes, that is crop rotation is used for these type of purposes, that is maintaining the soil nitrogen in the soil. Uses of legumes, biological nitrogen fixation as well as effective recycling of organic material including crop residue and the livestock manure. Preventing weed, diseases, pests by relying primarily on the crop rotation. Natural predator diversity, organic manuring, resistance variety and limited, preferably minimal thermal, biological and the chemical intervention. So here we see minimal amount of chemical intervention is used for preventing the waste, diseases and pests. Providing attentive care and management of the livestock, paying full regards to their evolutionary adaptation, behavioral needs and the animal welfare issues with respect to the nutrients, housing, health, breeding and rearing. Careful attention is also taken to the impact of farming system on the wider environment and the conservation of wildlife and natural habitat. Now these are the characteristics of the organic farming, and after this we are going to know about the importance. So what are the importance of the organic farming? Why these are important to us? Organic farming promote the use of crop rotation, crop cover and encourage balanced host predator relationship. Organic residues and the nutrient produced on the farm are recycled back to the soil. Cover crop and compost manure are used to maintain the soil organic matter and the fertility. So here we see these cover crop and the compost manure is used to maintain the soil fertility. Preventative insect and diseases control method are practiced including crop rotation, as we previously know, improve genetic resistance, that they are paying full regards to the evolutionary adaptation. Integrated pest, waste management and soil conservation system are valuable tools on the organic farm. So here we completed this chapter and that's all for today. Thank you.